Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to solve an interesting question called partition array according to a given pivot. So we're given an integer array and an integer pivot, which is not the index, it's the value. So we want to rearrange the array such that every element less than the pivot number comes before every element greater than the pivot, and that every element equal to the pivot appears in between the elements less than and greater to the pivot. So, okay. And we want to retain the relative order of the elements before and after the pivot. So, for example, 9, 5, and 3 are less than 10, and 9 appears before 5, which appears before 3. So we want to retain that in the output. And then we just want to return the array after the arrangement. So, okay, so if we want to get the element less than the pivot, well, first let's just iterate through our array. And let's make 3 buckets. So smaller than, larger than, equal to.
Okay.
So if the current number we're seeing is less than the pivot, then we can just append it to the smaller than bucket.
Okay.
If it's bigger than the pivot, then we can append it to the larger than bucket. And else, if it's equal to it, then append it to the equal to bucket.
Okay.
Okay, and at the end, since we have a smaller than, equal to, and larger than, and we just want the relative orders where the equals are between the less than bucket and the greater than bucket, we can just return smaller than plus equal to plus larger than. And this is an O of n solution because we have to iterate through once. But yeah, there you go.
Wow. Oh, okay. It's very, very clear and a simple code. Yeah. Can you tell me the time capacity you are using?
O of n. Because we have to iterate through the entire input array once. N is the number of elements in the input array.
What about space complexity?
Space complexity is O of n because we're using 3 arrays here. So we're using extra memory by a little bit to do this.
And
so as you can see, the memory complexity is a little bit low. I mean, I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do this, but I think this is the most intuitive way to do it, for me at least.
Okay, yeah, I think sounds good. So
okay.